The following is a conversation with Trey Vital, a seasoned character artist and rigger with impressive credits on projects such as Diablo and Overwatch. Welcome to the Mo Method, where we talk to creatives who have turned their passions into professions. Trey's journey is a fascinating exploration of mastering character creation. He is driven by a hunger for learning and mastering new skills, from character design all the way through creating incredible rigs, as well as a passion for supporting the animation community through his studio, Told by Three. In this episode, Trey shares his inspiring journey from working at major studios like Amazon Game Studios and Blizzard to launching a studio of his own. You'll discover his insights on functional art, balancing creativity with practicality, and the critical importance of soft skills and communication in the industry. We discuss the power of online presence and personal branding, the evolving landscape of independent creators, and Trey's venture at his studio, Told by Three. Without further ado, here's Trey Vital.
Hi, my name is Trey. I'm a character artist. I have credits in games like Diablo, and I have rigging credits in games like Overwatch. I've been doing this for 8 years now professionally.
So going back before we start recording, so what's kind of your area of focus right now? Are you doing mostly modeling, or are you doing mostly rigging or designing? Like what kind of
That's a fair question, especially given like my online footprint is kind of all over the place. So currently I'm moving very, very heavily into just character art. So Told by Three is the brand most people know me by online, and you can see like a bunch of my little like mini productions. They're partially to like show off the rigs that me and my very humble team create. But I actually just brought someone on to Told by Three to remove me further from rigging. She's fantastic, by the way. Like Blastoise was her rig, and I'm just like,
oh nice.
Damn, I didn't know it could do that. But yeah, Blastoise, and most recently we released Forearms. So that library is getting bigger. It's allowing me to focus more on the character art side of things. And so that's why my output has been so much like greater more recently, simply because I've been able to like divorce myself from rigging. But my rigging background has definitely done a lot to help my character art. I'm really, really into like production models, into production art, primarily because, like I said, I loved characters. But I remember being like younger and like drawing a character, and the worst thing about that is like the drawing, like if it was good, if I like liked it, I was like that's it. It can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, if I was to animate, I got into like flip books and stuff. And I was like, I can do stick figures and stuff, but like drawing this character at like 24 frames a second, I just did not. I was like, oh, just exhaustion. Like I have so much respect for 2D animators. But then when I realized like the capacity of like 3D, especially with the community, like 3D outside of just the industry, the community is violently creative. And I remember being in college and just feeling like I was like, I don't have the chops. I don't have the chops to like be a character artist, like not yet. And I need to be able to like make money off of this. So I really focused on rigging. But I did model several of the assets in my own like rigging portfolio for school. And I just love the idea that I could like make this character, set it up so that animators could just run with it. And like I just put it out there, and like I have several free assets. Like one of my like most popular ones is like Anthro, like Kung Fu Tiger. I'm sure you've seen it over the internet somewhere. And like watching animators do stuff with that is just, it's super fun. And then like as my skills grew, like I started doing like bigger projects like Blue Beetle. That one was fun. That one was huge. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get all this stuff in there. Blue Beetle can do basically anything. But yeah, that one actually that got me through, I think, my interview at Blizzard, because I actually interviewed at for Overwatch at some point. And it was interesting because they do this like, team outing, like the interview process is like it's several different stages over the course of a day. And there's one where they get like a bunch of like just the different artists from different departments, like everyone from like concept, modeling, animation, and like I'm a rigger, so everyone like in the surrounding departments kind of figuring out like, hey, like, and a couple of them were like, did you do? And I was like, yes, that was me. And they're like, oh yeah. And like it was just a very like, it was great for ice breaking. It was cool to like see the people that I was going to be working with like had already used my assets. So I was like, oh, I can do the job you're asking me to do. Like did you have any like, yeah, very, very organic, very easy. Yeah.
So what was kind of like your first love, if you will? Like what was it that like you're saying you did a lot of the drawing. So was it the design that you kind of were drawn to, or was it the rigging that you were drawn to?
Very good question. And honestly, I think it was design ultimately. Now the way you phrased it was actually really good. The first love was it had to have been like design, the look of these things, right?
Hmm.
And I've also noticed that there's been this kind of like in your artistic journey, like what do you like looking at versus what do you like creating?
Mm.
And that is it's crazy how far removed those can be from each other.
Yeah.
But for me, a good rule of thumb, like just being a kid, like the less real it was, the further removed it was from like convention. Like I was like, this is I wanted the magic in it. I wanted like the monsters. Like
Yeah.
I was like just too obtainable. I just like lost all love for it. And then
Yeah.
like as I grew, I could start to appreciate like like how fantastic things that are based in like reality can be. But in a nutshell, like it was the look of things, like powerful like silhouettes, like really fun shapes. I didn't put that into words early on, but like, like I have the artistic language now to say that.
Yeah.
But in college even, I definitely like you don't this is something I found with like a few of my peers, most of my peers in the rigging community did not really care much about the asset. And I was very unique in that. I was like, I care. I like, does it have spines? Does it have wings? Like, what am I going to be able, like, what's the fun stuff, right?
Hmm.
And it drew me to things like in my own like personal art endeavors. Like I'm not sure if you've seen Project Titan of mine, the
Yeah. Sure.
yeah, from Invincible. Like when I saw that show, I was like, because I hadn't seen the comic or anything up to that point, and I just saw this dude running at that warehouse, and then like this guy
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna try it, and then like it took me about a year. But that's nights and weekends, especially when you're working at like Blizzard and shit. Like I was like, I have these other responsibilities to stay up on. But Titan was one where I was like, that's fun. Like I want to be able to like do that. Like, can I make that into 3D? And 2D artists get away with murder on design. Like I do have a lot of respect for them because they have to draw those same characters. Like, but I was looking at Titan and like some of like the lines on his arms and stuff, and I was like, that doesn't work. I can
Yeah.
tell you that off the bat. So I'm gonna have to re-break his armor and like figure out where like his anatomy actually works to like be functional in 3D.
Yeah.
And break his armor like 7 times. Like there's a
Wow.
part I was like, you know what? I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of curious because like rigging, I've never really got into like the animation side of things. So how does it work when you're creating a 3D model that, with rigging in mind, and kind of like working at it from both sides, like how much does the rig affect the model and how much does the model affect the rig?
Um, they are very heavily linked, especially the it's this weird kind of like push and pull, largely dependent on the shot. But for me, I've been in places where I'm both like, hey, we need a character to do like these things specifically. There's three big ones, right? So for games, the big one is existing animation. So a lot of times riggers, especially when they're entry level, what you're doing in games is you're on the skins team. They're like, hey, this is Symmetra. This is the character. We know how she's animated. We want to make her look like Medusa or something, right?
Yeah.
And then you get this geo and it has to perform with the existing animations. So
Hmm.
that animation is at the helm. So animation is like, hey, you're not getting animation support on this. It needs to work with what we already have, which is fair. And so it's like, okay, so now that ball gets passed down first to modeling. Hey guys, like, is this going to obscure, like if she crouches, is like something gonna like poke through her chest or something? So that's literally affecting the design because it has to exist with these models. And so then with rigging, what we're doing is we have a little bit of like sway. Sometimes we'll have joints where we can like adjust something out of the way for a pose or whatever. But that's a very like game focused thing, right? With animation, like for film, then the rig is like for the shot, right? And sometimes, depending on how crazy the asset is or the shot is, you might have multiple rigs for a shot, but that's like you got a lot of money and a lot of time, like
Yeah.
Pixar level stuff. But a good example, like using Pixar, is like a lot of times where anything is going to be like dynamic, like stretchy, especially, you want that flat always. And this is something that's across the board. Like the more you want anything to act like a tentacle or like a tendril or something that is going to like stretch and wrap and do these crazy things, that needs to be as boring and as straight as possible in the model.
Hmm.
And it's something that like is kind of like frustrating to like deal with when you're trying to like get it to approval, or like this is something I deal with a lot, like when I do certain character projects, if something is modeled and it looks like unnatural, like they'll be like, "Oh, like you want more life in that." I'm like, "No, I don't. Like that's for animation to do. Like
Yeah.
you genuinely don't know what you're talking about." Whole other thing, the amount of people who say things wrongly loudly. It's so
Yeah.
damaging. It's so painful to watch. But anyway, like for me, like when I say I'm a production artist, like I never spend any time posing my models ever. And I don't think that it's wrong or anything to do that. I think that like it's a huge thing for character artists to like have their models pose. However, I always my characters always get rigged and animated.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
pose is coming. Like
Yeah.
I just don't need to like put it into like ZBrush, and like Shane actually has a really good course like inside his character workshop dedicated to like, hey, this is a good way of like going about like how to get it from like get everything you can for free and then pose. Fantastic. For me, I'm like absolutely a pose or whatever the pose requires,
Right.
typically a pose. Get it rigged, get the skinning, show it off because I'm showing off production models. So like whenever I'm doing like interviews or something, or like moving into either contracts or with studios, like it is a huge strength for me when someone's like, "Hey, like, are you like familiar with Spy?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, not only can I say it, but like all of my assets are currently moving. Like
Yeah.
you can see them deform, you can see them get around. Like some of the problems, like Titan is a huge like show of like understanding, like, hey, this is how we need to compensate for characters that will be behaving in this way. And there's so much I had to do like under the hood with Titan just to work. But in short, especially when you're doing production art, the model and the rig are are tied from concept.
Hmm.
Like you should be considering like what is this character supposed to be doing? Like
Yeah.
I think a lot of the times, especially with like concept artists, I think functional art is very rare, but certain concept artists love functional art and they like there's so much story that goes with that, right? But one of the biggest things you get is like the giant pauldrons for like knight characters, and they're
Mm.
gonna bring their hands up, and the first thing that happens is those pauldrons go straight through their head, and I'm like, I can see that usually coming like a mile away, and we're like, hey,
Yeah.
do we actually change the design, or do I give you like a helper joint to like offset those and stuff? So yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
it's everything from the mundane to the like magnificent. They're all tied to each other, the model and the rig.
Yeah. I'm curious to kind of like how'd you get into this? Like obviously it sounds like you've been into it your whole life, and so did you go to school specifically for production design, or was it kind of a side hobby that kind of you managed to make work?
Um, so yeah, it's an interesting story because like since I was young, I definitely love this stuff, but I truly did not have any skill, like at all. I was not. The best thing I had under my belt was I was good at Halo 2. So like that was me tapping out on my skills list. So on some level, like my parents would always say like, oh yeah, Trey's wanted to like do this since he was like a kid, which is it is true, but I never genuinely thought it would happen. Like it just
Hmm.
seemed like this chasm that I was just like I literally don't even know where to start. And this is before you could just like type in, like YouTube
Yeah.
wasn't what it was. The internet was barely what it was. And so anyway, I went through all of my like K through 12 schooling without really investing in this, and just started working, like just a bank job or whatever. And then in my early 20s, I kind of just realized I was like, oh, I have my whole life ahead of me. I actually can like figure this out now. And I just kind of went for it. And I actually did not think I was going to go to school. Just went nights and weekends. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of digital tutors.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
yeah, I subscribed to them. I was like YouTubing, Googling. I made so many mistakes. Like I was trying to. I asked once on a forum. how to animate in ZBrush, which by the way is technically possible, but you
Yeah.
obviously you don't animate in ZBrush. But I was just like asking like
Anything is technically possible in
yeah, right,
ZBrush.
like I know if this gets released, someone in your comments is likely gonna point you to a video of like someone actually did do a really cool like anatomical like animation. It looks like clay and stuff. It's actually fantastic. It's just not conventional. It's not practical. He just
Right, right.
happened to like flex. It was a really good animation though. But anyway, I was asking questions like that. I bought Maya not understanding like I actually like Maya '09,
Yeah.
spent 3 grand on it, and then like Maya 10 came out the next year. I was like, oh fuck me, like now like I didn't know anything. I didn't. I was using Mudbox. Like it was so. I realized because I was putting in a lot of energy and I was not going anywhere. And I was like, oh God. And so then I was like, I just need foundation. And then I found a school that was very much it's accelerating and it did a couple things. I really have mixed feelings about going to school. So I'm just gonna okay. I went to Full Sail. It's not me selling Full Sail, but they do know what the teachers are good. They know what they're talking about. I wouldn't be where I am without Clavin, especially. He's the rigging teacher there. But anyway, Full Sail did a couple things for me. It was an accelerated program. So it was just 2 years straight. No summer vacation, no winter vacation. It was boom. And then they gave you a standardized hardware and software. So you're doing everything on like a MacBook. Everyone next to you has the same shit. This was huge for me because I am not a particularly smart person. So I was like, if I'm having a problem and
Hmm.
someone else is not, is it because like I'm on a Dell or something and they're on something else? I was
Right,
like,
right.
we have standardized hardware and software that takes so I can just focus on this. That was huge. And I was like, that's point one. And point two, I had, like I said, this is in my 20s. Like I was like 23 when I went to school. And it's weird being like almost 35 and thinking back. I felt like an old man at 23 because you're around like 18-year-olds and like 19-year-olds, and I'm like, I'm an ancient old creature here. No, I can't tell the difference between like a 20-year-old and a 23-year-old. I'm like, um, what gets me is that when I saw how fast it was, I was like, I don't have to wait 4 years. I can jump into that. They said that that environment mimics like the industry working standard. It does not. It vastly exceeds it. I
Hmm.
have worker rights as a person in the studio, so the hours I put in at Full Sail were crazy. I will never do that to myself again. But I was able to slingshot myself like very quickly. Like when I said, "Hey, I'm actually gonna do this. I'm gonna quit my job as a banker and I'm gonna go into a like I thought it was gonna be in film animation because that's actually what my degree is in computer
Hmm.
animation. I fell into game dev. But just so people can realize how like short that was, it was 2013 when I said that. I got my first job in the industry in 2015. It was a small contract at this studio called Moonbot, and then within like a month after that contract ended, I was at Amazon Game Studios, and that is what got me into. That was my introduction to games. I've been in games ever since. But in just over 2 years, I went from like just average Joe to like I'm at a AAA studio. Like
Yeah,
what is happening here? So
yeah,
it can happen very quickly. Uh, and yeah, you definitely have what it takes. Like it's literally just process.
yeah, yeah. Just on that point, just I guess it's a good point, a good place to stick this in. And like, what kind of advice would you give to people who are kind of starting out and looking to get into the industry and maybe unsure of which path to take?
Yeah, it's actually like if you'd asked me this 6 months ago, it would have been a bit different. But like the industry it is volatile seems too light of a word.
Yeah.
Right now, in particular, it is very rough and it's not reflective of the industry. Like the industry was hard enough to get into when I was getting into it. Like every generation so far I've seen has had unique challenges, right? This challenge I'm seeing for people trying to break in right now is largely not necessarily industry related, but more just like capitalist greed related. Like the layoffs, you are competing with principal level artists for roughly the same job.
Right.
And that's a problem. You are not a principal level artist, and you should not have that expectation of being that. Even if you are like, let's say you're in college right now. Let's like this is something I actually had to deal with. I was very well regarded in college. Like I did like my K through 12, C minus D student. Dog shit. Did not give a shit. Like I was like, I don't care. In college, I was like, I'm paying for this. I want this. Like I'm here. I was that student. Like, yeah. And I was such a dick. And like I saw someone else, I didn't realize it. And I saw someone else, I was like, oh my God, that's me. And I was like, I really 180 that. And I'm super glad I did that, but that's a different story. Anyway, the point I'm making here is that like if you are that student in college, you are still the same as your weakest peer as far as the industry is concerned. College is there so you can have an understanding so that when you get into the studio, they can at least talk to you about why you suck the way you do. And then you can branch out your skills and get better. But like let's say like you're getting praised, like, oh, your anatomy is great, like you understand topology, that's fine and dandy. You are not going to be impressing anyone at these studios, and now you are competing with those people.
Right.
And I remember like when I got into Blizzard, like I definitely knew I was like these are titans. Like I need to like bring it. And like I remember trying to move from rigging into character art, and it simulates like what they're trying to go through, right? Because I was making a lateral movement, which already gives me an advantage because I'm already in the studio. Like I'm here. And when I'm thinking about people who are starting out now, I do not want to discourage you from this industry. Like it is a fantastic way to make money. It is it brings you around some really like amazing people. Like as bad as these studios are, like as a company, the people who make them, like I can with my whole chest just be like, I did not like X, Y, or Z studio, right? But the people in those studios, I bleed for them anytime they need it. Like I don't have any malice against anyone that I've like had direct contact with. And even at Blizzard, right before I left them, they fought for me. Like they had a forced return to office. I wasn't feeling that. My leads were like, no, Trey, like let's figure this out together. You know, like everyone tried. Sorry if I keep straying from this point. When it comes to people really trying to like break in, best thing you can be with yourself, and this sucks because it's hard to survive as it is, you have to be patient because the fight that they're having to deal with is not something that most people who broke in had to deal with. Like I'm especially like right now when I see the people, because I know like principal artists, I'm like, you got let go? I'm like, and you're applying for jobs?
Yeah.
Your portfolio is older than I am. Like I feel like, and I'm seeing them and like people that like if I give myself 5 years of dedicated practice, I might be able to hold a torch to them, right?
Right.
Like they're over here like, hey Trey, like that mid position. I'm like, all right, well damn, I hope I'm funnier than you. I don't have an edge. Like,
yeah.
And like I see some of these people coming out and they're good. Like and some people who even ask me for criticism, they're like, hey, can you like give me pointers? I was like, you're better than me. Like there's people who are coming out of like college right now and they are better artists than I am. And they don't have like had they been entering the field when I was entering it, they probably just, you know, like your typical like 6 months to a year figuring it out and getting in like it takes about that. But I think that artists need to hear that it's not your fault. And what I mean by that is like there's only so much you can do. The best thing you can do is stay consistent, keep your portfolio up, keep looking, be respectful. Like it is really hard because recruiters have been dropping the ball. Like it is frustrating. Like even when I was like when I left Blizzard and I was looking for studios and stuff, the way that like it's too casual. Like you're talking about people's career and like you'll get a message on LinkedIn, they'll ask you a question, you'll get back to them like they're like, oh, can you send us your resume and like your reel? Cool. And then you're ghosted. Not like, hey, thank you, we decided. They leave that space in your mind, and that is something that is ubiquitous. There's been times where I've turned in my art tests. Like art tests take a lot of time and energy, and I've been ghosted on art tests. That's not okay.
Yeah.
And you're right to feel like it's not okay, but you need to make sure that you are not shooting yourself in the foot. And like don't lash out, don't do those things where you like post like recruiters, get your shit together. That
Yeah.
feeling is valid, but all you're doing is you're making it harder, and it's not fair. But when we're talking about like breaking in and just being like smart and putting yourself like in the best position to succeed, you need to carry your online presence extremely well.
Yeah.
Like I quietly blacklist people in my mind. I'm like, there's been only one person I've ever stopped from entering like one of my studios. I was like, I will not work with that guy. Like I will actually leave if this happens. Only one person. Outside of that, like you can have like, disagreements. You have people you don't necessarily vibe with. And I've been like, yeah, no, their art's good. Like I can work 10 hours with them, and like when stuff like starts getting really like tense and frustrating, like they handle themselves well. Like those are the people you want to be with, because making games, making films, it's frustrating, it's hard. A lot of feedback, a lot of like, oh, I'm really proud of this, and then like your art director's like, that's dog shit. How about you try this? Like, never say that, but like that's what it
Yeah,
feels
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think ultimately for the people breaking in, like you're fighting a fight that a lot of us hadn't had to, and
Yeah.
like we're also in that fight too. Like I'm currently just like I put myself in a really good position. I'm investing in my own like small studio, getting things going. I'm very comfortable right now. Very lucky to have like practicality got me here. But like whenever I'm like looking at like even contracts and stuff, like whenever I look at like a studio, it is like I'm in that trench with you.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking at a student who's got like, 2 years of like art school under him, and I've got 2 years of art school under me and 7 years of industry experience, and a portfolio that just the sheer amount of time and energy I've put into it, like you're not competing with me,
Right.
not on any meaningful level, and that's not your fault. And when you have these studios simultaneously letting go of hundreds of artists that are responsible for like any game that's come out and made money in the past like 3 years,
Right.
that's what they're leading with.
Right.
Like I can't compete with them, and you shouldn't be like kicking yourself. It's not a matter of like you not being good enough like for the industry. It is turbulent out there right now. And
Yeah.
I ultimately give yourself some grace. Keep working, make your connections. That is the best strategy, and just protect your mental health. Like this
Yeah.
industry will come forward. You were fine. You were a good artist. It's coming. You just
Yeah.
like it is just out of your control at this point. So yeah, just be
Yeah.
patient with
Yeah.
yourself. Sorry.
Just I just want to focus on one point that you said
Uh-huh.
that I think is really important for people in general, but we're talking to artists, so specifically for artists to hear. And that is your point about your online presence and how important it is to maintain the online presence that you want it to be. You want to treat your online presence like a like a well-trimmed hedge, like don't it's not kind of a random bush,
Uh-huh.
right? As in and I think that kind of really separates the men from the boys when it comes to artists, because like how you portray yourself online, again, people, I see two sort of like classes of people, where you have the people who kind of treat, let's take Instagram as because that's kind of like the most popular for artists, right? You have people who treat Instagram as kind of like, Instagram is kind of my personal blog. I'll post my art, and I'll also post my political opinions, and I'll kind of post everything there. And like I get it that you're kind of just like, oh, like this is me. I'm
Yeah.
kind of leading with my genuine self. But I think doing that, a lot of times you kind of end up hurting yourself, because it's like it's an age old setting of like separating the art from the artist. Like you do, if you're using your online presence as your way of showing the world your portfolio, essentially, right? Like that's how people are looking at it. And so if your Instagram is, all your best artwork, but also all of your opinions about every kind of hot topic that's out there, you're muddling the image of your work, and I think it's like
Yeah.
a really important thing. And I've had this discussion with like really high level professionals who like every single thing that they're posting online on on their social media is like they're thinking about, this has to be in line with my kind of brand image. And I think that's something that's like not thought about as much as it should be. This is kind of like a thing that I've kind of been trying to focus in on, and I haven't. I mean, by the time this releases, we'll see. But I haven't started putting it out yet. But I really want to start creating content to kind of coach artists on like, here's how to build like your personal brand. Because to your points that you're saying, like we're living in a very transitional period across the entertainment industry, in games, in movies, in TV, everything. And I think kind of like the silver lining that I see is that the independent creative has more power now than ever before, right? As in you kind of look at like everyone being let go and everyone kind of being out there as like as a negative, right? Which in a lot of ways it is. But at the same time, there are also so many tools and abilities for people to sell direct to consumer, like like George, like we were talking about before, and you have this. The marketplace is so much more open in a way it's never been before, and so if you as an artist can tap into that and do it strategically, right, by again branding yourself and marketing yourself and finding your audience who have that common interest and want to purchase your work directly from you, you can very easily and very quickly, with hard work and dedication and effort, you could quickly really build
your audience is out there somewhere. You will grab them. Like that's
and you can build a very sustainable career out of that. As in, like I've spoken to multiple people, like Shane Olson and like George, right, who are going out there and they're making more money, doing independent stuff and selling direct to consumer than they would ever be making by working at a studio.
Yeah. I kind of want to piggyback on that too, because I do think that the silver lining here is that you are completely right. Like there is a lot more power for the independent creator now. Also, collaboration has never been so like easy, which is something that like once again with your online presence, like studios used to have the power because they owned like the means of production, and now they have power because they own the means of finance.
Right.
But right now, like the means of production are like you have Maya or Blender is completely
Blender, right? Free.
If you don't have anything to your name at all, you have Blender. Blender is free, and it is
Blender and
powerful.
YouTube.
Yeah, dude, you get those two together, and you have you can compete with anyone's education. You can't compete with their
You build a
connection.
career right there.
Yeah, that's the thing that most people argue for college is the connections, which is it's valid. However, education, all the high level shit I've ever learned, even for rigging, YouTube. Like I got foundation at school for sure. That was helpful. Foundation and connection. We'll give that to schools. But like all of the like upper level, like high end, like the things that really like give me like that like pushed me, like, oh, I can do that now. Some dude on YouTube, like I followed someone like some of my connections, like I was like, oh, she did this like cool rig. I have like no idea. Like one of my friends I met on Twitter, she actually helped me figure out the shoulder for Titan because he's a bulky character, and she had done this like Ryu character, and I was like, he's also bulky. How the hell did you do that? And so she was like, oh, I did this. The setup was like 9 joints for like single shoulder. I would not have figured that out. Thank you so much. But yeah, like the connections there, the information's there, like there is, you don't have to go to a library. You literally can just like, you can literally say, hey, show me how to, and it will show you. Like there's so much that is like in your lap. You can do these things. And to kind of like circle it back to your online presence, like I never push that too hard to people because for one, it is a fantastic filter. It's hard out here. Let people sync themselves. Like that is fine. Like you have made it easier. It is a win-win. I want people to succeed, but I'm seeing it like I think the reason I want to put that out there for like particularly is because I'm noticing like LinkedIn is bad. It is like it's bad on so many fronts, but right now like it doesn't feel like there are any adults in the room on LinkedIn. Like I'm seeing CEOs like be like, yeah, Trump just like gave it to the libs, and I'm like, hey, like you realize like we're here to like network and connect, not like this feels very rage bait. You don't seem like you're genuinely trying to like be like, hey, like this is my like political opinion on how we should have handled this, and like this is what he said, this, and like none of that's happening. Like we're not having honest discourse, and we're not looking for it. And so on LinkedIn, this feels particularly gross because like this is where people are going with the primary intention of furthering their career.
Yeah.
And so when you see people at like CEO level, which I guess anyone can just slap on CEO, but the fact of the matter is like you have people that should be setting the example, like older people, people who are like occupying higher positions of power. And they're just being messy. Like, and that's the best way I can put it. Unprofessional is too light. It is like there's unprofessionals like you might have missed the mark on professionalism when you go the opposite direction and you're intentionally like poking people, especially because like if you say you're a CEO and you're genuinely a CEO and you say that you have people who work under you who will be subject to these like views or like be in a position to be like, okay, I guess I'm gonna just like what am I doing here? Like how do
Yeah.
I yeah, it can be very unsettling.
Yeah.
And that's on like any side. Like we have to work. We have to be in spaces together. And it is just like professionalism is there so everyone can like do these things safely.
Yeah.
And when these things are not only like ignored, but actually like violently pressed against, like don't get me wrong, like I am not necessarily what you would call the most professional like person. Like I do think that it can go in the opposite direction as well, where you lose a lot of personality to be like, oh hi, how are you? Like you're just
Right. Right.
there. And I'm like, all right, so like I definitely like let my personality come out, but I understand that like I can be a bit much, especially if I'm like in a spot where people who don't like if I say like fuck or something, right? I don't mind. I don't think cussing is inherently like bad. I'm not like a horrible person or something, but like if I'm in certain spaces, like Blizzard was a great example, right? Like I felt so comfortable being at Blizzard. I met some of the greatest people. I was like, God fucking damn it. Like I just like lost a game that we were playing or something.
Yeah.
Absolutely no one gave a shit. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't a thing. There's certain spaces though where I could kind of feel it. Like this is where
Mm.
no one should have to be like, hey, like you could be considerate. And
Yeah.
I like certain things I would like see someone perk up and I'd be like, I didn't like that reaction. I don't need to say fuck. It's not the staple of who Trey is. So like it gives you an opportunity to like be like, well gosh darn it, and like then like I remember an interaction in particular where I kind of threw that out there to someone I kind of like felt was like maybe I'm coming off a bit like vulgar or like aggressive maybe, and I don't want that. And so when you disarm yourself in that way, it's a good way to like connect to people.
Yeah.
And like it builds good working relationships. Like just it's good if the ultimate goal is for us to be comfortable with each other and like
Yeah.
move the ship together, then like it's such a small like thing to just be considerate of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest reason why I even say like watch your online presence. And it shouldn't be something that you really need to be told. If I'm being honest, like you do need to like this is being an adult. Like
Yeah. It's
you
a little
have
common
to
sense.
yeah, like and if you are so like no, well, that's just who I am. Like, that's a very hollow excuse. Like, I am also not the same person at my job that I am when I'm around like my closest friends. Like, that's duh.
Right.
But I understand, like, sometimes, like, this is something that can be a bit jarring for people who don't want that version of me and don't want to have to tolerate that version of me, and that's fair.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
like, when I see people who are like getting on like LinkedIn and just like, sometimes, and I get it, like the lashing out, like, I do understand, especially because like you're trying, like, people are in debt now, like, those student loans are still coming for you, like, you still got to eat, and your recruiters are just like, meh, and then people are just like popping off. You think, okay, well, I can do this. No, you can't. You technically can, but you need to realize that there's a consequence there. And if you're over here shouting and being like, "Hey, do your job right. You're so stupid." That doesn't who responds well to that?
Right. Right.
Who hears you're dumb and you suck at your job and is like, "Hey, I can do better." Like nobody. Like just come on, man. Like
No,
just
for sure.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like just be an adult. Like
Yeah.
you have to understand that. But yeah.
Yeah. No, like one of the I apologize whoever it was. I forget who was saying it, but somebody was saying that the most important thing, the most important skill in this industry is communication. I think it might have been Neville Page. The most important skill in this industry is communication and people skills. Like everyone gets so caught up in design and being the best, designer and being the best, rigger and being the best storyteller. And it's like
He's 100% right. Yeah.
if you don't have that basic those
It's
basic
soft
people
skills.
skills,
Yeah.
like you're really like you're not
Yeah.
gonna get anywhere, because
No, absolutely
ultimately
agree.
you're dealing with people. That's what it
Hmm.
is.
and
Yeah.
it's soft skills, and that's something that was relayed to me. And like I do have really good soft skills, and I think I joke and I say I'm the personality hire a lot because honestly like I'm typically like I will say in my career I feel very much like the smallest giant. Like it's so odd being where I am and how, like I said, it happened very quickly. One of my leads actually said, because I expressed them to him because I was like, that imposter syndrome, it's a lot. Like that, I did not ever feel like I should be at the studios I was at. And when I got into Overwatch, I was like, fuck, I don't know how I got here. I
Yeah.
please don't mess this up. And what's weird is like being in Overwatch especially was interesting because I released Blue Beetle during that time. And on one hand, um, there's just people like, wow, Trey, like this is you're the best. Can you teach me? Like how did you're so amazing of an artist. And on the other hand, like I'm showing it off to like, Blizzard staff. Trying to impress Blizzard artists is like trying to start a fire with two ice cubes. Like it's it's they're fantastic artists. And it's crazy because I look back at some of the stuff I showed them now and I was like, oh my god, I thought that was good. But it's one of those things where you kind of are in this like split because it doesn't actually really go away. But when you know what you're doing, this is going to bleed into like maybe a good way of like carrying yourself. Like I've always known like my skill in relation, just practically, just like honestly, like I'm not, this is not like, oh Trey, no, you are a good artist. No, like my peers were fantastic artists. It's like I can't do what you did yet. Like, but I'm
Yeah.
acknowledging that right now, right? But like I do know what I am good at. And being a character artist who spent the last 7 years like rigging, like I know how something is going to deform and I know where to put geo. I know what pose to hit, and like those are things that I have not just like theory on. Like I was like, no, I'll hear someone say like we should try this. I'm like, oh no, I tried that actually. It doesn't work.
Hmm.
And it does to this extent. So then I can lean in on those skills. So like a lot of times when I get into a studio, I'll start taking like the jobs. I'm just like, you don't like topology? I love it. I'm good at it. I'll take your topo. I'll do your UVs. I'll do your baking and stuff. And so then you get these artists who just get to play on high poly all day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and they're having the time of their lives. Um, for me, I'm like, I'm not going to be creatively filled here regardless. So I'm going to. I don't mind doing the topology. I don't mind doing the UVs. I don't mind doing the baking. I don't mind like jumping into the concept meetings and being like, hey guys, let's just look down the line. What animations you want to hit? Here's what the rig needs to look like. We're good. Like I'll take on all those. And then when we're talking in interacting, I'm a person. And we're have like people conversations. Like I'm like, let's
Yeah.
stop talking about work for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like you how is that Bahamas trip? Because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
they have this like drink over there and like it'll just it's fun.
Yeah.
You get to like talk to like really interesting, like fun people and you build a community.
Yeah.
And it is such a good place to do that, which is why I'm like advocating that like do not give up on this industry. This industry puts you in contact with some of the best people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Some of my closest friends I've met in the industry. There's a Blizzard artist. He's working at Riot now. Me and him still talk. He's doing a D&D campaign. I'm like, yeah, I want to join. Let's do that. Like, it's so many like good people in this industry. And if you just go in, you have good soft skills, you know how to conduct yourself as like a person, like
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Just on that, in that same vein, just a little side people conversation, and that is, I've noticed a lot of your work centers around Ben 10. Was that like
Oh my God. That funny video. Uh, it's so funny you say that because I've just been kind of like grabbing IPs that I find are like interesting. And I'm like, a lot of the time it isn't because it's the IP, it's because like it presents like a certain challenge. Like Blue
Okay.
Beetle and Titan were very interesting. And Ben 10 originally was just the Omnitrix. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. And I was like, I'll do a sculpting thing. I just happened to do a couple Ben 10 pieces. The Ben 10 fan base is much bigger than I anticipated. And it is. I need to be very clear. I am not going to be doing any grand Ben 10. I just looked over at my stylus and I have Heat Blast on my as I'm saying that, and I have Pinterest boards with like Ghost Recons. Oh my God, I'm so mad at myself right now. But ultimately, so the thing is like Ben 10 is it's fun.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoy the character designs and like its fan base being so big. Like you have a lot of concept artists that are having a lot of fun like creating like their interpretations of these characters. And so based on what I do, like I'm like, hey, I'll give this to animators to play with, and they're doing. I'm not sure if you saw this, but I actually just released one of the my audience members got a hold of
The
the forum.
forearms. I
Yeah, and
just saw
he's
it before we
running
signed
around
on.
Unreal. I was like, oh, these guys are going for it, and so it's giving me a lot of attention. Like I'm not shitting on Ben 10 at all. I just like I'm pretty sure I can wrap up all of my Ben 10 endeavors before the end of the year. But like I do like there's some other things I want to do. Like there's a Spider Verse project
Mm.
I've got going. I actually started working with this animator. Um, okay, I'm gonna give you a little like sneak peek. Is that something that you do? Do you mind if I
Yeah,
show?
absolutely.
All right, cool. So
You should be able to share your screen.
yeah, yeah. Share screen window. All right. All right.
Oh,
So
nice.
you recognize this one?
Of course.
Yeah, so I'm working with this animator and speaking of like rigging, like these are his tendrils, he's gonna be popping those out. But oh yeah, and I got a few little iterations of how I'm gonna be doing his like surface detail things. I
Yeah.
really might have to go through and like you like Carnage has those like typical like tendril strands like outlining his anatomy. I'm really trying to avoid having to go through and cut
Yeah.
all those out. But yeah, he's actually the guy I'm working with. He's actually a animator for Marvel.
Uh-huh.
And he also does these on the side. And I'm like, oh shit. And like I'm a huge Marvel fan. I also like DC. I like anything like superhero, supernatural, like
Yeah.
those are really fun. Doing symbiotes is always like a nightmare. Like how do you figure out how to like yeah, so we're doing a lot of that. But we've got a project going now. And that I feel like will be a good pivot because I do want to do more like Marvel stuff. Like especially since Marvel Rivals came out, I love their designs.
Yeah.
Like
They're
those
gorgeous.
those interpretations of those characters, I just like you guys. It's so fun. It
And the
is.
style, everything about it
It
it's
is, and
so
like,
well executed.
and it's so crazy because like this is something that like I'm still trying to get like there's a confidence that comes with some of these decision making. Like when I look at like how they interpreted like they painted in a lot of the light while simultaneously like having those like harsh
Yeah.
reflective.
Transitions and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, okay, this is dope. But like, I think about some of the style choices they made, and like Punisher, right? That dude is the size of the Hulk. He is
yeah.
cartoonishly like,
Yeah. But it works.
yeah. And I was like, how the fuck does that work? Like,
Yeah.
everything about you reads like giant
Yeah.
tank, and he's like the one of the most mobile DPS, and I'm like, I don't know why this it works, but like he is like a crazy massive character. But then like I also look at like how much they exaggerate like between characters, right? Like if you look at the silhouette for like Black Panther, and then you look at the silhouette for Wolverine, like they're able to proportionally like exaggerate so much, but it still works together. Which is
Yeah.
something that like I'm looking at and like I know it there's something about it, I'm like, why do I feel like this shouldn't work? Like just on a technical, like my brain's like Wolverine's like four shoulders or four heads of a shoulder, and then Black
Yeah.
there's a more like tame. And I'm like, but they stand next to each other and I believe it. And I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
how you guys did that, but I do love that style. I've got a board up for Colossus. I'd like to do that one. I am intimidated by their style because I do want to hit it, but like I don't know if I can. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
especially
curious to hear from somebody who's worked on Overwatch. Like, do you not think that it's and obviously it's not 1-to-1, of course not, but like I feel like it is fairly close to Overwatch in terms of like vibes, I guess.
Are you
To
talking about
call
like
it
the
style,
gameplay? Like,
just in general, like the art style. Like I do feel again, it's not. That's why I preface. I said like, and I specifically use the word vibe. Like the
yeah,
style's
yeah,
not the
no,
same.
I
It's
get
not
that.
1-to-1, but there is like
Yeah,
there
no,
is
it's
a
definitely like still like lighthearted and stuff.
yeah.
I think that the way they do the textures is really what like sets them apart.
Mm,
I saw your interview with Shane, and Overwatch is like it's not a it's the most industry known secret I guess is that like bevels is the key to like Overwatch style, like
yeah.
especially because like there is a lot of like hard surface that goes into that, and so like a lot of it really comes down to like clean edge wear in or clean edge shape, sorry. But when it comes to the finer points, right? Like Overwatch's texturing versus Marvel Rivals texturing, worlds apart.
Mm-hmm.
In Overwatch, it's actually very like procedural.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually, like Shane's right, they don't use substance, but they have. There's this artist Matt Taylor, and he was one of the like senior artists on the game, but he also is a technical genius. Um, that dude, like sometimes you just meet people in your career and like, how are you a
Yeah.
thing? How are you
Yeah.
like, yeah. Anyway, he wrote a few tools for Photoshop to make it mimic Substance Painter. And the texturing part in Overwatch, it's extremely precise. The artists do very little outside of like incorporate like colors for the ramps that they put in there because a lot of it's like driven by gradient. But like it is such a like nailed out, like we know exactly what we want here in Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna plug and play for textures. And with Rivals, I've never worked on that team, but based on like how they're having to like paint in like shadows and stuff and lights and I believe that they're painting their normals or doing something uh, to like blur their normals. I think Substance just dropped a tool that like does that now. It's like a brush where you can like paint your normals directly and it gives
Yeah,
a
I saw
very
that.
like painterly soft feel to your colors and shit. Like I think that is something that like just pipeline wise is where the difference really comes in. But yeah, I mean they're in the same vein of game. Like they do
Yeah.
have the set like that vibe for sure, 100%. Like
Yeah.
it's very like lighthearted, but like enough of an edge so it's not like too like fluffy. Like it feels
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying so since you have that experience with Overwatch, I feel like that would lend itself to being able to, with obviously with a little bit of work and a little bit of effort, like to kind
Yeah.
of be able to kind of get the style down.
Yeah, I think the thing there is I was a character rigger on Overwatch, and in my career it's interesting because I was very verbal with the Overwatch team that I wanted to be an Overwatch character artist, and the the what is it, lead leader, yeah, it was the lead. I talked to him. He was very like direct. He was like, "Hey, your art's not bad, but like we're in full swing. This is right before Overwatch 2 was going to get announced too." And he was like, "We just need people to hit the ground running. Like we want you here, but like now's not the time." And like completely heard that and stuff. And then I still was like, I still in my own career, like I want the best for Overwatch for sure, but I also want to be a character artist. So how do I do this, right? And Blizzard was very verbal about being like open to lateral movements and helping your career that way. A lot of businesses say that, and very few mean it. And so I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to test Overwatch on this, and it was a bit of a mix because I was like, hey, like we got all these teams here. Like, if I'm not Overwatch, like if it's not the time for Overwatch, then like I can come back or something. But I do want to be into character art, and I've already done Shane's course for like a year at this point. I've been like it's nights and weekends. I'm kind of burning at this point. I was like I want to make this jump, and I had this very poor interaction. Won't name names, but someone who was a manager of mine, and this is what really gets me. He wasn't an artist. And like when I say that, I mean like he's not an artist in the sense that he's like being paid to be an artist, like at Blizzard. He was like, hey, and like he was also trying to be like I guess direct with me, but like it just rubbed me the wrong way because he was like, you're just not at Blizzard quality yet. And I like my knee jerk, like I don't have any problem like hearing that I need to get better or anything. Like I'm very aware. The imposter syndrome is definitely telling me I'm not there yet. But I was like, hey, that's not really too actionable for me, and I don't really feel like I can ask you like for one, how to get better. I don't know if you have that answer. Like, but also like I want to know like did somebody tell you that? Like, can I talk to them? But I didn't really know how to approach that. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like I just kind of like ate that. I was like, I'll get better, very ambiguous kind of statement to myself or to him, I should say. And I was like, into myself, I was like, okay, I will figure out a way around this. And a week later, um, the Diablo team reached out to me and was like, hey, we heard you were trying to get into character art. We saw your portfolio and we'd like to give you an art test. And I was like, bitch, that you said I wasn't good enough. And I was like, I was very much like, okay, cool, cool. And then the lead artist on Diablo, fantastic guy, by the way, Arno, um, good human, fantastic artist, good person, like very, very communal. Like brought the artists together like all the time. He would like, hey, I'm gonna go play tennis. I have you guys come out. And I'm like, what? It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Just a good person. Anyway, he walked me through like what his expectations were. I gave him the art test. I got the job, and I was like, I'm a character artist now. Let's go. And then yep. And then I've been a character artist since then, but I had never broken through into Overwatch exactly. But I
Uh-huh.
have access to people who have, and like they've walked me through a lot of it. And like a lot of the times, like it is more just like Trey, just like give it a shot. And most of the time,
Yeah.
like I'll get close enough. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm curious just to focus on kind of what you're doing now with Told by Three. Can you kind of talk about like what exactly it is and what you guys are doing? And I'm very curious to hear more about it.
Well, thank you for that question. It's obviously like now I get to plug and not be like, hey, listen to me. No, but I do appreciate that, and I also am going to be extremely transparent in the fact that like it is kind of like how I'm making money. Like I that is a driving factor. But one thing I'm really keeping is like creative control. Like I want to enjoy the stuff I'm doing. I don't want to just like put myself in that same like studio energy where like I need to do this because this was going to pay me. Like and so far it's been great. Like and even though the Ben 10 thing is kind of becoming this like this
Taking
gravity,
a life of its own.
yeah, but I do actually like it. And I am enjoying it. But right now, Told by Three is primarily a character factory. So our main source of income is the character rigs we put out for the animation community. And so what I effectively am doing is like, hey, I like this character from the world, right? I take those and I'm like, hey, let's bring this into a deliverable package, and then like we put it out there for animators to use. They can either go to Gumroad and just perpetually like whenever they want it, just like be like, hey, I want to grab Blastoise or like one of the Ben 10 characters. Go to town. A lot of the times our clients are students, people who just need something like a quality rig to like do something for their portfolio. And very, very rarely will we get someone's like, hey, I want to use this asset in like a commercial thing, and like we'll talk about like licensing and stuff like that. But typically, like I want like the products to be something that are like something you can actually like rely on. Like I feel like that's kind of a disadvantage that animators have is like they can really only be as good as the rig provides, and that's that's true enough. Like I've seen, you can give a fully FK rig to an awesome animator, and they will make that work. But they also shouldn't have to, like we should make a product that they can use intuitively and easily. But also something that looks cool and is fun. Like I
Yeah.
want characters like that are like unique and fun. So Told by Three is really like servicing the animation community primarily. But
So what's the idea? It's that you sell characters that are pre-rigged. Is that kind of the
yeah, we sell character rigs. And I'm also wanting to kind of help character artists a bit more. I also have like a few base meshes that like I want to put out and just be like, hey, like you can get a lot from like you can just get straight into like the fun stuff on base meshes. I use my own base meshes a lot, and it's like sped up my workflow a ton. But also I still want to try and cater to riggers because I remember being like in college and just trying to find like good models, and that is hard. Like, because there's models that look cool, but they're not production ready. Like their topology just does not handle like deformation well, or at all. Or like something with like the way that they UV'd it will be off, and it's just like I just want something that works, you know. And
Yeah.
so I do have a few plans to maybe branch out and service rigging artists with like production like ready models. They're like, hey, you want to rig this? Like, here you have an asset that's actually like ready to go from someone who is like about to rig it themselves.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, also like we do these little productions and they serve two purposes. One, like people need to see like whenever I see people like showing off a rig and it's just like a static and it's like you see controls, I was like, that doesn't tell me shit. I don't know what
Yeah.
your weight
Yeah.
painting is like. I don't know what your systems look like. Like, do you have squash stretch in there? But when you see the character like actually
In
moving and
motion. And,
performing well, that's a good way to like be like, hey guys, this is it's functional. Look what you can do with it. But also like we're very creative. I'm extremely like I have so many like ideas like most creatives do. Like where do we even start? I do want to get into doing productions that are solely for the sake of the production, not like to sell an asset from that. Like, and my audience is very mixed. I took a poll recently and I was like, hey, what are you a character artist? Are you a rigger? Or are you just here for the cool animations? And an overwhelming majority was just here for the cool animations.
yeah.
And I'm for it because like me and like the animators I work with, we really do bleed for those. Like it's a lot of work. We put a lot into it. Like if someone wants to do something in particular with a shot, like we will build the rig for that. It makes the product ultimately better, but those animations are fun and it's something that like we do want to do. We do want to tell stories. We do want to get out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now it is the main funding is like, hey, are you an animator? You want you want an asset that you can like have like fun with, pop into your portfolio, pop into your game. Yeah, Told by the Reeds is
Yeah.
writing those.
Yeah. No, like I've seen a lot of people who are just creating kind of like they make they have a whole pipeline and they're just creating like animations essentially and posting on YouTube and social media, whatever. And that's also as in it's a different market obviously, but that also is kind of a market that is in a lot of ways sustainable, right? And they launch Patreons, whatever, however they kind of do it to make the money off it. But like for me personally, like I love to watch, especially like your animations are just really fun because like I love stylized, like super stylized uh creatures and characters, and a lot of times you kind of get like I find when you have super stylized, it's usually either a static posed model
Mm-hmm.
or it's a game asset, right? You don't get a whole lot of super stylized animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously,
Gotta wait for Arcane and shit to come out
exactly. I
like
was gonna say
every three
Arcane. It was
years.
the
Yeah, no,
exact,
I completely agree. I completely
and so
agree.
like it's cool to kind of get these like it just whets the appetite. Like it leaves you wanting more. But like
Yeah, yeah.
it's so refreshing, so enjoyable. Like your
I
Blastoise,
appreciate that.
like I really like I'm a big like Pokemon. I like Pokemon. The Pokemon aesthetic, and like your Blastoise was just amazing. And it's a short clip. Like it's only what it's like
Yeah.
5 seconds, 6 seconds. But
Mm.
like it's just so enjoyable. Those 6 seconds, I just kind of
Yeah.
like watch it over and over again because it's so there's something about it that just I don't know.
Hey,
It's
honestly, I have to say, these animations, the thing that really makes them shine is the animators.
yeah,
And I've been working with this guy, Stanley Flores. Never met the dude in real life. And we've done, if you are enjoying, like if you're looking at the animation on my page, 99% are Stanley. And the dude is just, he's so good. And he loves it. And like I like the second, like let's just say like I get big overnight, like the second I can like staff him and like compete with what he's making at his studio, I'm like we're like I
yeah,
just come here, like
yeah,
they're
yeah,
good. But like it's funny because I fall in love with like the characters like with like what they could be, and Stanley always delivers those. And I think it's interesting because I do love animation. I cannot animate to save my life. Like, it's not a skill thing. Like, I'm sure, like, in the grand scheme of things, I gave it the time and energy. The second I have to open the graph editor, all all of
All goes
that
out the
vigor,
window.
all of that drive evaporate, just disappears, like nowhere to be found. Like you do, the truest thing about art is you have to fall in love with the process. You have to fall in love with the process. Not like, oh, like I can get through it. If you don't, you are just torturing yourself, and your
Yeah.
art is going to reflect that. You have to be in love with the process. And with what Stanley does, not only like can you tell he loves it because of the final result, but he'll be like, "Hey Trey, like this is something I'm planning on doing," and I'm like, if anyone else would have asked me for that feature, I would have laughed in their face. I would have said, "Absolutely not. The rig is fine." Stanley can ask for literally anything. I'm like, "What do you need?" Like, I
Yeah.
will get it for you. And then that goes to like our clients, like the rest of our audience who's going to buy those, because like it's not just that he's like such a good artist, but like we've also provided him a tool to flex those muscles.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like in my most like grand like ideas of like what Told by Three could be, I do want us to lead with like animated productions. Like we've got the writing down. We've got like we almost got everything. We just trying to fund animation is it's the most expensive endeavor you will,
Yeah.
right? And we've also done experiments before that have flopped. Like we're still licking our wounds from those, but we're coming up. But
Yeah.
my most ambitious like idea of what Told by Three could be is leading with like original characters and animation, and also still like taking those characters and providing them to the animation community, so like we can all be part of this big story together. I think that we've got what we all need, like to make
Yeah.
that line between like consumer and creative that much smaller. And I really would love to see that. We'll see if it ever happens. Like I'm definitely more in my like work-life balance era, which I think people need to hit sooner than later. But survival is a crazy thing, and sometimes you don't get to live, you're just surviving. And to the people who are dealing with that now, especially with the state of industry, my heart goes out to you. But definitely like find time for your friends. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. So what you say your main focus in terms of what you do enjoy is really the modeling. It's the actual sculpting of the characters. That's like the
Yeah, I I think that like I enjoy the animations just as much as my audience. I'm almost like probably more whenever I get dates, like especially because like the animators I work with, they're extremely talented, they're extremely prolific, and like when I see them like give me like a play blast, it's kind of like that same energy you get when you see like a sketch with all of its like potential in there. Like
yeah.
I'm sure you've seen those memes where it's like someone like has like this like 20-hour render of a character, gets like 2 likes, but then all the artists are like, you see that sketch? It's like
Yeah.
7 poses from like kind of thought out. It's like there's still magic there, like there's
Yeah.
something about what it could be. And when I see animators like give me an update, I'm like, just it's done. How is it even gonna
Yeah.
get better? Like, and then it gets
Yeah.
better, and I'm like, oh shit! Like, I do love those. I love seeing the animations. I'm like I funded those animations a lot of the times where I'm like I want to see this so bad I'm willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
take that hit. And I do want to put people who love animation in a position to do those animations. We all win when animators get to like flex their muscles and like bring us something. And so whenever I see like animators really like going for it, like Stanley, or like I've come across like people who like the girl who put up Forearms, Rima.
hmm
I was like, dude, I gave you Assassin, now it's like running around in like Unreal. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to see animators flourish like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Just to wrap things up, one last question that I pose to all my guests, and that is, how do you define success?
I saw this one coming. It's still ill prepared for it now. I genuinely think, kind of going back to like the survival thing, if you can, for me, not have to worry about money, like not be rich, just like if I can like if I was able to, I don't want to call it minimum wage, I want to call it like effective minimum wage, maybe like that qualifier, because minimum wage is like impoverished now. But like if I can handle all of my bills, um, and do what I'm doing now, that is a win. Like I love what I'm creating. I love what I'm putting out there. And if through my Gumroad sales or my Patreon or whatever is bringing in, if it's like my audience, if once I find them, um, yeah, if I'm able to be like, hey guys, like let's make a dragon in the World of Warcraft universe, like, or yeah, like it's you can do so much, like even these like Carnage, I got this Rhino character, and like there's so much that's like going into these characters, just like on like the fun side. Like I'm not
Yeah.
even talking about the work. I'm like the conversations I get to have about these. Like I'm doing a Rhino character right now, from Spider-Man as well.
Mm.
Like there's this kind of like Sinister Six thing, and like the story there is like in his multiverse corner of that the multiverse, right? Spider-Man's actually the bad guy. And he was like, like that man spider version where he's like got the
Yeah.
mandible.
Yeah.
So that is kind of like a domineering like thing where like humans have become these like monstrous things, and Spider-Man's like the most known. And Rhino in this universe is part of a military group who's using bio armor to mimic animals to survive. And so
Hmm.
he's a soldier, and he's not anything special. He's not like the most elite. He's like, I'm just part of the Rhino unit. And now he's in this universe, and the design on him. I'm actually going to show you him.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
really shouldn't, but yeah,
We
I'm
can
actually.
edit this out if you don't want it going
No, no,
public.
no. I'm more excited, but like this, like success for me would be like, hey guys, like I want to have so many of those conversations. You might be getting a lot of this is a little preview of all the stuff I'm like working on. There we go.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I'm having so much fun
That's
with it,
really nice.
and so
I
he's
like how you
got.
did the kind of that like that plating where it's almost like armor.
Yes, exactly. The coloring is going to definitely like set apart because like I'm trying to really separate the textures right now. Like this, I'm feeling is more like a Kevlar type material where you get a bit more
Mm.
flexibility here. And then the front plates are like these can take like more high explosive. Like this is where you're really getting like the armor to like stop penetrating bullets and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, like I'm still like figuring out like his chest plate, but you're starting to see like these are just like the sketch lines for what I'm figuring out, but I want
Yeah.
like his plates to feel like these things are heavy duty, like he can take a hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But once again, I'm very much about like functional art. So I'm like, how does this move without it like, clipping through him or like being so like impractical as to like make him basically like a walking like tomb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm still experimenting a lot. Like I'm thinking that like he has a bit of like a biosuit that's more like rhino hide, like
Uh-huh.
synthetic rhino hide here. And
Uh-huh.
then we'll have like actual like plates, and I'm thinking his color scheme's probably gonna go the more like tan route, like desert ops type shit.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, anyway, like success for me would be like doing characters like that, having those like stories come to life like that, and just being
Yeah.
able to like connect and like basically live in that with my audience. And yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Wow. That's really great stuff.
Okay, I'm loving
Um
the reaction here. So like when that guy goes live, I'm hoping that my audience feels like that. So.
Where can everybody find you online, social
Uh,
medias and
Yeah,
Patreon
honestly,
and all
if
the
you type in
Gumroad?
Told by Three on like I'm consistent Told by Three. I'm married to that. It is not changing. You can also type in Trey Vital, Vital, and Trey you can see on my screen. But yeah, Instagram is usually where I'm like that's really where I'm kind of like going. It is the most like organically interactive.
Yeah.
Like send me a message, we'll talk. If you want to say like, hey, that looks cool, like do it. If you got a project you'd like to talk to me about, like figure it out. If
Yeah.
you want me to do something for you, please have a budget. Don't do that. Don't waste my time. Like, don't do that to me. But yeah, Instagram's probably the best place for it.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really
Thank
appreciate it.
you,
This
Mo. I
is a
really
blast.
appreciate the opportunity. This was nice. This was fun.
Yeah. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Take care, bud.